Welcome back to the Painting Coach, and in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to paint Glutos Orscollion, the Lord of Gluttony. This is part one of a two-part series, and in this video we're going to cover some of the larger areas and then mainly focus on the crew. Part two will focus on the palanquin. This model was provided by Goblin Gaming, and they're giving you the fantastic opportunity to win the completed model. Make sure you watch until the end to find out how. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you're always notified of my latest videos. Alright, let's talk Glutos Orscollion, and let's talk about some of the sub-assemblies we've got first off. So the chariot is its own sub-assembly, and this is primed black and then gold Retributor Armour spray over the top. If you haven't got the spray, then just prime it gold, and you can just paint prime it black and then paint the gold on over the top. You don't have to be too careful with it. I've painted a lot of the marble already with grey Seer. I'll just kind of show you a little bit of that just in a mo. What I will do as well is make sure you do the gold, tidy up any gold before you move on to the next step. I've got all the characters. They're all primed individually as well. The priestess is white because she's mainly bright colours. The other guy's gold because they've got, again, lots of gold on them. We've got the beasts who pull the chariot, and they're not wanting to play ball, but they're basically primed white because, again, they're a bright colour. Glutos himself, sitting there loving life, he's primed white. And then we've got the snake, which is also primed white, and the canopy, which is that same black gold. And I've painted bits and pieces of it just to kind of get ahead to make sure that I'm using the best, or using my time as efficiently as I can. So in terms of how we're going to do this, for the marble, we just want some grey Seer. You can see there, I've already started. The video decided it didn't want to record what I was painting, so we're just going to take some grey Seer. And when you're painting these big areas, you just want single brush strokes. So you don't want to jab at it because you'll get air bubbles, and then you can see it's covering okay. But we're going to have to go in and do maybe 2 or 3 coats with the grey Seer. So get that done, take your time. Then once you've finished that, go in and repair any gold. So you can see I've spilt onto the gold a fair bit because I wasn't being as careful as perhaps I should have been, but it's not a huge issue. Go back and get that fixed, and then we'll come back and we'll make a start on the gold next, because there's quite a lot of gold to do. One thing I should have said as well while I'm doing this is I'm going to go and paint all the other gold bits that are missing. So just a little bit of Retributor Armour, and just work it onto, you know, things on the beasts. The stuff that you've painted with or primed gold, you don't have to worry about so much. You can just go on and do things like that. If you need to touch up any areas of the chariot, then you can do that as well. But just working my way around here, I'm not being too careful really when it comes to bits I know I'm going to paint over later. Just be careful when you come to those areas that, you know, like here, the skin and things like that, because it'll just take you a little bit longer to paint those. So work your way around, get all that done as well, and then when we come back, we'll shade all the gold. To shade all the gold, I'm going to use Druchii Violet. Now, what I will say is just be careful when you get to those areas you've kind of already finished. And the other thing as well is to keep this moving. Don't want it to pool it anywhere. We just want it to, you know, like the name says, just shade these gold areas, just tint them purple, and that just feeds into that Slaanesh theme. So this is all the gold on the model, which, you know, there is absolutely tons of gold. So just take your time, work it around. Be really careful around the marble effect. If you make any mistakes and you need to go and fix where you kind of run into the marble, then that's fine. Do that with the with grey Seer before we come back. But this is a bit of a hefty job. It's going to take you a little bit of time, so just enjoy it, get it done, and we'll come back and highlight the gold next. So to highlight the gold, I'm going to go for Liberator Gold. Now I've put this on my palette. I've not thinned it down. You can see all the other paints I've been using to kind of get to this stage. And what we need to do is we need to just identify the parts that are kind of more raised and catch those with the brush. And then just work our way around until we get to a point where we're quite happy with the highlight. Now I'm showing this here on the chariot, and you can just, you know, work this Liberator Gold round exactly the way you want. Those bits which are going to face the light and get a bit more, you may want to put some more paint on, like that. So work your way around, get that done on the chariot. And don't forget, we've also got the figures that we need to do as well. So you can see this one's fairly dark. So what I'm going to do is just take that Liberator Gold, just edge highlight up all this armour. Take your time. Obviously those bits that are pointing upwards are going to catch more gold. So get that done on all the characters, on all the bits on the chariot, and then we'll come back and we'll start to focus in on these characters a little bit. See how we go. Maybe put another highlight on the gold. I haven't decided yet. Looking at the gold, and I am just mindful that some of this is going to blend in because we haven't actually done some of the darker colours yet. But I'm just going to take some chrome and I'm just going to use this to just catch those sharpest edges of the gold, which again is just going to brighten the whole thing up again. So just work your way around, just catch in those kind of sharp parts. And then when we come back together, we'll have a look at getting into depth on the characters. So you can see here that I've been focusing on all the areas and, you know, getting all the gold done on all the bits. So let's look at the characters now. And one of the things with this model is you have to pay quite a bit of attention to the box art. So I'm just going to start this off with some Abaddon Black, and we're looking for all the bits of clothing, black clothing that are on the models. Being really careful when we come to areas such as the skin and things like that. And the reason I say you're going to have to check the box art is because none of the pictures that are out there are particularly clear about what is what colour. And you can see here I'm just really having to take my time and kind of go into it. I'll fix that mistake that I just did just by painting it over with some silver. So yeah, try and be careful when you're on things like the clothes. It doesn't matter so much if you go over the buckles, because we're going to paint them silver later anyway, so it's not a huge issue. But just take your time, work your way around, check the box art based on what bits are going to be black. Because again, each model has got different bits in it that are going to be black. Some parts have got no black at all. And you can feel free, obviously, if there are parts of it, or black parts, black coloured parts that you want to work on now, then you can do so. You know, on things like the chariot and the monsters pulling it and things like that. I'll show you on the back. There's a bit more surface area to go wild with there, and on the sleeve. So get that done. Make sure it's all dry, and we'll come back and we'll give it a little bit of a highlight next. So to highlight the black, we're not going to go with the traditional grey highlight, but we're going to go with a little bit of Stegadon scale green, just to give it a bluey green highlight, which again will tie in nicely with the rest of the model. So you're looking for those contours on the model as well as the edges. And again, I've kind of gone on to the fleshy bit a little bit there, but that's alright because I'll paint over it. As I've been saying all the way through, if you can avoid doing that, avoid it. But if you can't avoid it, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. Nothing is unfixable, just with a little bit more paint. So work your way around all the black clothing with this Stegadon scale green. Again, not just on the chunky boy himself here, but on all the models where we've done some black. Even if it's just the handles on the sword, like with the Blade Master, and then we'll come back and we'll pop another just extreme highlight on there. The next highlight for the black is just a little bit of Sotek Green. I've thinned it down a little bit with water. You don't want too much on your brush. And essentially all you want to do is you just want to follow the line, painting inside the Stegadon scale green that you would have used in the last step. nice and straightforward. Gives you that nice highlight to the black, which will, once you kind of get going on the other colours, will really help kind of tie the model together and provide some nice contrasting highlights. So get that done on all the black leathery bits, and then we'll come back and we'll have a look specifically, I think, at purple cloth next. For purple cloth, we're going to just base it with Xereus Purple. So on the main man, we've just got his little tabard going through here. And again, don't forget to do this on all of the minis that have got purple cloth. If you're not sure which ones have got purple cloth, check the box art. And I will say there's a definition difference between purple cloth and the kind of crimson maroon cloth. So if you look at the Blade Master, for example, he's got a crimson maroon cloth. This is purple. So just double check that before you start. Obviously we will be doing that. But let's just get this down first and get a nice even coverage on it as best you can. Take your time when you kind of get into those nooks and crannies up there so you don't spill it anywhere. And then we'll come back and shade it next. To shade the purple, we just need a little bit of Druchii Violet, not much at all. And just work it into the recesses there. Apologies if you can hear the kids outside. It's a bright sunny day and they're running riot. So let that dry, and then we'll come back, we'll give it a little highlight. Highlighting that purple is nice and simple with a little bit of Genestealer Purple there. You don't need too much on your brush, and we're just looking to catch those folds that are facing upwards. Nice and straightforward, and where you've got a nice edge like that, you can just catch it with the edge of the brush. So there you go, work your way around the purple, give it that nice little highlight with Genestealer. And then we'll come back. I think we'll start the silver metallics next before we move on to the skin. I'm going to base the silver metallics with some iron hand steel. So I've got it here on the palette. I've not really thinned it down. And again, for this, you may need to just check the box art as to what is actually going to be silver. So just work your way around. Don't forget on Glutos Orscollion himself, there's a lot of bits of detail, so like jewellery that he's wearing on his wrists and things like that. So make sure you get that covered off with the silver as well. And you can paint it how you want. You don't have to paint it exactly as I'm doing here or as the box art says, but all I'm doing is making sure that I've got enough, gold and silver so that it contrasts against itself. Especially once we put a shade on and we've got the model looking the way that we want to. And you'll also notice as well, a lot of the shoulder pads have got kind of the big area, and they've got like a kind of purpley, pearlescent look. So to get that going, the first thing we want to do is just base it with the iron hand steel as well. Just making sure it's in shot and you can see what I'm doing there, because it's a little bit awkward. I'm blocking the light a bit, so. Get all the silver done on all the models. Again, they're going to have varying degrees. And then we'll come back and shade it next. Shading the silver metallic is really easy. A little bit of Nuln Oil. Just pop it over all those silver bits. And let it dry, and then we'll come back and we'll give it a little bit of a highlight next. And then to highlight the metal, just take some chrome. And again, just looking to catch those kind of raised edges. With these shoulder pads, you can paint them all chrome as well, but leave them for now, and we'll kind of go in and shade them in a bit, just to give them that kind of purple pearlescent effect. But in the meantime, just work around all the silver, painting in those raised bits that are going to really catch the light. Where you can catch an edge, catch the edge. Again, make sure you do it for all the models in the retinue, and then we'll come back and I think we'll base up the skin next. That's a nice big area for us. So the colour I want to use to base all the flesh is Kislev Flesh. Now with the Priestess, leave that white as it is. We don't want to base that one, but all the other ones we want to base it with Kislev Flesh. So just take your time. Now it'll cover over the white bits okay, but then there's going to be bits there where I've spilled over. You can see, and it's not covering quite so well. So just add those couple of extra coats that you need on there. Let's not forget his feet. So there we are. Work around all the models with this Kislev Flesh. Get that skin based. Take as many coats as you need, and then when we come back, we'll shade it, and I'll show you some tips to get all that really sore looking skin that Glutos himself has. The first thing we want to do then is let's just use some Guilliman Flesh contrast paint, and we'll use this on the priestess. So we're just going to paint it on, and you can see, don't let it settle too much, but you can see it gives us that kind of bright skin effect that you can see on the box art. So just do that, and do this. Use this on the skin for all the other models as well. So the Blade Master, what you can see of his skin, and the Leash Master. Get that done, and then hopefully you can see that in my hand, because she is very small. And then we'll get started on the skin for Glutos next. For Glutos then, let's start making his skin look a bit sore. So the first thing we're going to do is take some Volupous Pink and mix it into this Kislev Flesh that we've got on the palette. And you can see there that we're starting to get a nice kind of shade there. So what we're going to do is we're going to just use this and paint it into those recesses on him, so kind of around his eyes, around his mouth, and his ears, and you can see it's a nice subtle effect. So wherever the kind of parts of his skin are stretched, and we might end up just painting this all over his, especially definitely the recessed areas. And you can see it flows quite nicely. So just work your way around the model, popping this in, obviously being careful with those areas you've already finished. Work this round into the back as well. So get that done, and then we'll come back and we'll add some more depth to it next. So to go a little deeper, what I've done is I've taken some more Volupous Pink and I've mixed it in there. What I'm going to do with this is just going to go into those absolute recesses now, where the kind of material reaches the body, and you can start to see you're getting that nice kind of transition effect where you've got the deeper, more pinky kind of colour in play there. So work your way around the model and put this into those recesses. You know, Glutos he's not a healthy looking man in my opinion, but we just need to get some depth, and then we can get some highlight to get some really good contrast on him. So work your way around, you know, these horns and everything on his head, the scarring, the tattoo, on the fingers as well, where you know you've got a clear indication that he's puffy, he's a chunky boy. And the other thing I'm doing as well is I'm kind of building this up here, because this transitions into purple, so does this arm here. So work your way around, get that done, and we'll come back and see if we just need to add any more depth. And then just to finish off this area, I just want to take some pure Volupous Pink just to put it into those darkest recesses, just to make him look really pained and gone off as well, and just work it around onto the tendrils there as well. Get that done, and then that's pretty much the depth added, so we just need to go in and add some highlights next. So we want to start bringing some of the highlight colour back now, and this is why it's good to have this Kislev Flesh still on the palette, still fairly wet. What we can do then is just bring back some of these layers, and as you pop it over where it darkens down, you should get a nice kind of transition between the two colours there. So just work your way around the model, highlighting as best you can. Don't forget to do the other models as well from this part, and then we'll come back and we'll add another highlight on him. So just moved on to a fresh palette sheet just to carry on to the next steps, because I think we were a little bit full on the last one. So we're just going to go in with some Flayed One Flesh now onto the fleshy areas. We're just going to paint this in just over most of the kind of the Kislev Flesh that we've had on there, just leaving some kind of shadow areas where the saws are picking up these bits of skin, where he's got those studs kind of or hoops through there. Same there, just on the mammary area, and then we're just going to pick up the kind of the sharpest highlights of the face, so kind of like the cheekbone and things like that, and the brow, little fingers where we think we want it, and then the feet as well. Now he's got lots of nails. The nails I'm going to paint the same way as I painted the black, so it's the Abaddon Black base, and then the Stegadon scale green, just to give them a little highlight. And these highlights I'm popping up here, they're just in kind of the shape of the muscles. And if I want to add definition, I'll just add another layer on afterwards. So do that on this guy. If you feel you need it on any of the other models, do it on them. Otherwise, we'll come back, and I think we'll do his trousers next. So for the trousers, they're kind of a lighter purple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to base these with some with Genestealer Purple. So just paint it all over. Take your time with those areas that you've kind of finished stuff on, and you can see it's not covering fantastically well with one coat, but we'll give it a second one, and hopefully that'll do it. If not, we'll just give it a quick third, and then we'll come back and we'll start to highlight from there. While I wait for the Genestealer Purple to dry, I'm just going to show you how to do these pearlescent type gems on the shoulder blades. And all we do is just take some Magos Purple and paint that over the chrome. Then when that dries, we're going to get that really nice purple effect. Whilst we've also got the Magos Purple out, the other thing I'd like to do is on the Priestess, is we can paint this kind of top here, and we can also paint the tabard going down here, just like that. And if you want to tint it some more, you can put a second coat on once that first one's dry. But otherwise, we'll go back to Mr. Orscollion's trousers. So the first highlight for the trousers is going to be some Warpfiend Grey. And essentially what we're looking to do is just catch, or paint I should say, all the raised areas, leaving that Genestealer Purple in the recesses to act as the shade, or the shadow I should say. So you can see there, that's working out okay. We'll go in with another highlight just to really give the effect to the trousers. But work your way around, make sure this is on nice and solid 2 coats, so that it's a nice solid covering, and then we'll come back and just pop an edge highlight on it. So the colour to finish off the trousers, perhaps fittingly, is Slaanesh Grey. Now my Slaanesh Grey is very thin. I've got too much on the brush there, so just make sure it's thick enough. Now I finished this leg here and I had to use 2 coats, so I'm going to probably have to do the same on this leg, but just looking for those most raised areas. Doesn't have to be an edge, just look to the volumes of the fabric and look to highlight the kind of the high points there. So get that done. If you need the 2 coats, then you do, but those are the trousers finished. And I think we just need to go on, and there's a load of bits on here which I'm going to just cover with Corax White. So we've got the tongue, some of the beads and things that I'm going to cover with Corax White. The belly buttons are gem, things like that. So I'm going to do that on him, but I'm going to do it on all the models as well, just in case. And then when we come back, we'll finish off Orscollion here, and then we'll go on and just do some of the other bits on the other models. The colour I'm going to use for the gems as well as the mirror is Aethermatic Blue contrast paint. So all I'm going to do is just throw it in there, and then when it dries, it'll give us a nice effect. Just make sure you spread it out plenty. And then for the gems, just tap it on there, and if you think that you need more, you can always add some once it's dry. So work your way around all the models, add in this 20 gems you want, obviously do the other side of the mirror, and then I think we're getting there. We'll just jump onto some of the other models, some of the other detail, and the crimson cloaks next. So let's get on to the crimson cloaks then. So and the plumes from the helmets. The colour we want for this is Screamer Pink, and we just want to get a nice even coverage of this, obviously being careful of bits you've already finished. So not too much to see here. Just work your way around the model, get that coverage in, and then we'll come back. We'll shade it next. To shade this down, I'm just going to take a little bit of Druchii Violet on the brush, and I'm just going to pop this into the recesses. Don't worry if it goes too far and it goes onto it. What I would say is just get this into the recesses on the cloth, and then if you need to, take some Screamer Pink and just go back in to re-highlight it. Now on the plumes, they kind of drop into this darker purple colour. So what I suggest you do is just build it up from about halfway down the plume. So if I just turn him around, so we'll say about halfway down the plume there, and then you can clean your brush off. That was not a good example of cleaning my brush off because I didn't do it, but you can feather that water up there to get that kind of blend, and just do that a couple of times on that to get the darker purple on the plume. To highlight the cloaks, we don't really want to use too much colour because it'll make them overly pink, but the colour we want is Pink Horror. And what we want to do this is, when we can, is catch edges just like that. See, the highlight's nice, it's nice and subtle. And then where we can't catch edges, we just want to draw it along those most raised areas. Just like that. For the darker bits here, if you want to highlight that, you can go back to that Slaanesh Grey and the Warpfiend Grey as well. But I'm just going to focus on these areas now. Get those done. We're pretty much there. We'll do these tassels next. And then we've just got the flowers, I think, to do on the priestess, and all the kind of support crew are done. So the colour we want to use to base up these tassels, and it's just on the kind of the sword handle there, is Stegadon Scale Green, and this is also on the whip master's helmet as well. So nice and simple, careful when you're around those bits that you've already finished. Let that dry and we'll highlight it up. Just to finish up then on this model with these tassels, we just want to take some Sotek Green, and what we're looking to do really is just pick up some of the individual threads. Nice and easy, nice and straightforward. So work your way around. Now I'm going to finish the rest of that off cam. The other thing I want to do as well is I want to base all these flowers with the Sotek Green as well. So take your time around bits you've already finished, and obviously that Magos Purple that we've got there. Just pop this over everything. And then that's literally the last thing we've got to do, is to highlight the flowers. So we'll do that next. The last thing we're going to do is we need to give these a little highlight. And if you look at the box art, they're kind of like a greeny blue colour. So what I'm going to do is just take some Kabalite Green, thinned it down quite a bit. Make sure you don't have too much on your brush, and then you can just use this to kind of edge highlight those sharper areas and just get a little bit of green into the blue. So work your way around the front, and obviously don't forget the back, where you can leave that Sotek Green in the recesses, but highlight up with the Kabalite Green just to get that nice greeny effect. So once that's done, that is Glutos Orscollion and all his little minions done. So we'll have a look at them on the turntable next. So there we have it. Glutos Orscollion and his crew are done. Like I said, this is part 1, so keep an eye out for part 2. I also said you get the opportunity to win this model, and you can do so simply by going to Goblin Gaming and liking, subscribing or following any of their social media channels. You don't have to buy anything, you just have to do that. So make sure you go ahead and do it right away. If you don't know who Goblin Gaming are, then you can click the link in the description to find out. If you'd like to support me and the channel, then you can do using the links in the description. There is a link for Goblin Gaming where you can get up to 20% for all your wargaming needs. There's my Patreon where you get exclusive access to me, an exclusive live monthly frequently asked questions chat, as well as my Discord server. And there's also my Amazon recommended equipment list. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like and a comment down below. It does mean the world to me. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.